All right, everyone, let's test the sound here. All right, that worked perfect. And let's just then pop over to this one. Okay. Oh, geez, I gotta deal with that at some point. So again, welcome. If anyone is new here, this is the live stream I put on. Change glass. Live stream I put on every week. Essentially, the goal is we go through the charts for the weekend. We figure out what's going on in the crypto markets and in the stock markets and all of those things. I go through all of those short videos I did all week, talk about how I traded those, if I traded those, and how that went. And then we scan the market for the next one. Again, the entire time, I'm here for questions. So, Fernando, I see you there. Hello. It's just ask away, right? It's one of those things where this is the only reason to do this live is to make sure that I can, get questions and all that. So feel free to ask as we go. And that's about it. So let's just get right into it by clicking that button. If that worked right, looks like it did. So step one, I always want to just take a second to go through the weekly charts and then the daily charts of the major things that I'm looking for in the market. Now that we have a new weekly candle close, it's kind of makes things a little bit more interesting to go through and to do those. I'm gonna test. Okay, that works good too. Got a new cool little device that I can hit buttons on, so that's good if I need to get it out of the way. So let's just start with crypto and get right into it. So Bitcoin has been just continuing to make this bear flag that's going on here. There was a big event, I guess, in Florida about crypto. I've just seen some clips on it, and it seems like the strangest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. That's fine. I'm sure the internet was the same when it just came out. So generally speaking, big events like that are going to be sell the news events, right? Usually, if you look at Apple and Tesla and all of this, if they've got massive events that everybody is pumped up for, that when it gets to the point where that's over, that's sometimes when this thing will fall. Again, not the way I trade, but the way I look at crypto right now is just it's in a downtrend. It's in an undeniable, right? We have a low here and then a lower high and a lower low, and so far we're working on a lower high. So we went from being in an uptrend back here, right, to now in a downtrend right here. That's all I care about as a trader. So currently no position. Well, a tiny position, almost no. I talked about before and for a while about how I was looking at this area up here, and I was shorting throughout. That ended up being a great short. I got out most as this candle was going on. Just kind of felt like a bit of a washout, so I was covering as things went there. And now I've just been watching, again, a really tiny short position in crypto and a tiny long position in Doge, which is hilarious. But I'm going to watch, and if we're going to break down out of this bear flag, I'm going to take another crack at a short. So the short would be kind of in this area. I would be wrong in this area. And, I could target that prior breakout point. If we're going to do another leg down, the prior breakout point back from 2017 seems like the most logical target to me anyway, where, if the buyers are going to step in and defend an area, you would think it would be that high of the last bubble. So again, we'll see, but that's just what I'm looking at there. Now, if we go through and just look at Ether USD, come on, ETH USD. right? Ether, relatively strong. And when I say relatively, look at this 200 EMA and where we are relative to that. Bitcoin's below it, Ether's above it. If we're going to get into a fundamental rant, I see the logic for both of them to exist. I think Ether is going to be the most prominent, and Bitcoin's going to kind of be like gold, but that's kind of a rant for another day. Litecoin, it's still below the 200-day, but not as much as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is showing relative weakness, which is why when we're looking to short, I want to short the instrument that's been the weakest amongst its pair, which is Bitcoin. So this one's looking a little bit better. We have ADA. I should build a watch list because I'm going to start doing a lot more crypto trading and crypto analysis. ADA is actually something that if we don't crash, this is where I would be more looking to get involved. Because if you look at the fall apart that happened in the rest of them, this one's been a lot better, well above its 200 period moving average and holding on as well. I have a lot of FOMO and regret because I actually had a buddy tell me about here to take a look at ADA. And of course I didn't. That's just the way it goes. So, of crypto markets, still look bearish. I always feel like I should stop and something I should do better because I rant a lot. I should stop and summarize more. Crypto markets still look very bearish. There's no reason to be incredibly bullish crypto right now while we're in this sustained downtrend. However, of the ones that are doing the best, it's the ones that are kind of the smaller cap names, I guess you could say, like Dogecoin and ADA are doing way better on a relative basis than Bitcoin. So I'm interested in shorting Bitcoin if we break out of this flag, and I'm interested in buying the rest of them, maybe some ADA, maybe some more Doge, if we end up reversing. So you speak to your thoughts on Coinbase. Yeah, I can. We'll do that right now. And then I need to go into the equity markets. But so I have no experience personally with Coinbase. I use Kraken. I don't think Coinbase is even in Canada. Could be wrong. Coin as the stock, it's horrible, right? This is an awful downtrend. There's no kind of respite in sight. Now, what I would do is I would watch this low. If this pullback ends up finding a bit of footing and then maybe we break this high right here, that might be the catalyst. Now, I'm not, say all of the exchanges went public right now. Coinbase and Kraken and Bitfinex and all these things. I don't think it's a good industry. And I usually don't talk from a fundamental point of view unless I've thought about it a lot, which I have with this one. You got to think about it. They're brokers. It's no different than the brokerage space. It's no different than, E-Trade and TD Ameritrade or anything like that. And someone who's, again, I have crypto company interests that I can't go into specifics about, but just know that I'm in the space as well. The way I look at it is that these commission rates have been shrinking ever since crypto has become kind of more and more accepted and interested. Just like back in the day when you took a stock trade, it would cost you $30 to $50, and now it's free. I think the same type of model is going to happen in the exchange space, and because everything in the crypto space happens faster, I would be shocked if this didn't happen faster as well. That race to zero when it comes to fees. So I don't think it's an incredibly bullish space to be in, simply because there's a lot of competition for Coinbase. It's only going to get worse, and I think it's going to drive down prices. So unless there's a business model they have that I'm not thinking about, I just don't really like the space. But I'm a technician and I'm a statistician. So what I would just simply look at is for it to technically be a change in trend, a trend just being a sequence of lower lows and then potentially lower highs. If we don't break this low on this pullback here, and instead we turn up and we break this high, well, then technically we've changed trends, right? We've gone from this lower lows and lower highs to now higher highs and maybe higher lows. So that may be the reversal. The number to watch is going to be the IPO, or not. This wasn't an IPO, and that's important for people to know. But the price at which it ticked for the first time publicly, which was the open 229.01. So if I were to be looking at this one, which, just full disclosure, I'm not, I'm looking to buy on strength above 250 with a stop, in the 230s. And then if, we kind of get to the 337s is what I'm seeing for kind of an open here. That's going to be a great trade already. If we break and hold above that, then that's when I would be interested in maybe this thing's turn the corner, but so far not so much. Now let's quickly go into, and let's do a weekly chart on the markets. So the last couple weeks, we've just been really talking about this trend line, right? The trend line from here to here acted as support here and here. And this little tiny candle we had last week, and then we've had this that could be one of two things, right? It's technically what they call a dragonfly doji, which just means opened here, sold off all week, came back up, closed at the same price. Generally a bullish case, and we did hit new all-time highs. Again, there's just no reason to be bearish this market yet, right? So what to watch if someone is interested in getting bearish the market or is scared and is saying, okay, where am I going to exit? I would watch these two lows on the weekly chart. But so far, this looks like it's just another, pullback and bounce. So these are generally called J-hook type patterns, right? Where you have these calm little pullbacks into a support area and then a turn higher. And we may just be doing that again. Might be taking a shot at, 450 or something like that. That's the SPY. I like to look at VT, which is the world index, looking about the same. However, I do think it's important to note that the world index made a little bit of a higher high relative to this high than the SPY. So the rest of the world is actually outperforming the US, right? If you took that out, which is actually something we could do here. Come on. Virtual machines. So we want to go daily, and then we want to go line, and we can do VT divided by SPY. Right, so you can see that just starting a little bit ago, it looks like the rest of the world is starting to outperform the US. So again, something to note, but we'll go back to that in a bit. Now, when we want to go into the daily chart of these two, I want to look at the most recent candlestick formations, which is a pullback with a doji spinning top, whatever you call it, and a big, strong green candle. So all of that's great. Again, just no bearish signs to be seen, neither on any of the charts. It will happen when it happens, right? Every time I say that, someone goes, oh, well, we got to pull back eventually. It's like, yeah, of course we do. Just doesn't seem like it's right now. Now, let's quickly go over and look at the sector analysis. So if we look at this market dashboard and then US sectors, we can see this is the breakdown. So again, if anyone's new here, what this particular screen is a breakdown of every major sector and its performance over the last week, because we do this every week. So I just update week to week. So, right, XLE obviously did the best this week. XLE is energy, and then XLRE is home. Right, what's the actual? It's house stuff. Real estate, just called real estate. So that did good. Now, the only other thing that I think is important to note is that XLK did almost as well as XLF. So XLK is technology and XLF is financials. Both of those did pretty well. So this is there doesn't seem to be a growth versus value move this week. It was just an everything move this week. Everything was up, everything was bullish. But the most bullish is XLE and real estate. So energy and real estate seem to be kind of the outperformers there. So now then let's go back here and then let's look at XLE, right, which does look very, very well, very good. However, on a relative basis, when it comes to the all-time highs, there are some rooms to go. So if we break that, you got to watch 62.59, right? That's got to be the area that you take a look at. What site am I using for this? I'll just send you a link. This is just called Coifin. It's a free site. All right, take a look at that. It's a great site. It's free. There's other ways to do it. There's ways to do it within Trade Ideas, and we're working on a way to do it. I use it on a daily basis within Trade Ideas, but then I do it on a weekly basis within Coifin. Yeah, so XLE, just note that although if you take a look at like the SPY, we are at all-time highs, even though XLE recently has been performing very well, it's not quite at all-time highs. So there is some overhead resistance to keep an eye on. But in the recent term, it's been just killing the rest of the market. So definitely keep that in mind. Real estate just been on fire, right? I don't know about you guys, but here in where I am in Canada and everywhere that I hear about in Canada, home prices are going insane. Homes are getting built in an insane way. So it just makes sense. Sorry to be drinking my iced coffee on stream here, but I don't want it to get warm. So now we go to this, which is comparison charts. And I like to take a look at these, just showing, for example, this one here is Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And you can see for the longest time, we were just basing Ethereum and Bitcoin were kind of trading blows on which one was the strongest. As soon as we broke out here, that's where you really see that Ethereum was doing well. And the charts I showed you guys when we did our crypto analysis kind of confirms that. And this looks like it may continue as well, right? We're getting very strong on this as well, which is kind of flagging here. So if we get a pop up, that Bitcoin Ethereum trade may be on again, which is something I know for crypto traders. Some of them do a lot of it. The sizing would be a bit tricky, but I do know people who will pairs trade crypto. So they'll buy Bitcoin, sell Ethereum, that type of thing. This one here is growth versus value. So we talked about how this week it wasn't really as big of a deal, and this kind of confirms that it wasn't. However, value since February has really been outperforming growth. So is growth kicking in and we're going to get a little bounce here? So it may be worthwhile looking at your Teslas and Amazons and things like that. Or is this just a little flash in the pan and this is going to continue lower? And it's best to look at your value stocks, your more boring instruments that have been doing much better than most of anything else. I don't think the growth versus value is over yet, personally. I think it's going to continue, but what do I know? Just follow the charts. XLE versus TAN. Again, still looking like this rounded bottom. So again, this chart represents old, ugly, dirty energy, which is represented by XLE, natural gas, oil, things like this, versus TAN, which is solar, which is clean energy. So the question is, when you're doing these comparison charts, your goal is always to say, where is the money going? Is the money going into green energy or is the money going into dirty energy? And if it's going into green energy, I want to take a look at EVs. I want to take a look at all, Tesla and solar plants and things like this. And if it's going into dirty energy, I want to look at ExxonMobil and Halliburton and things like this. Technically speaking, that's a big rounded bottom. So you may get this continued move of dirty energy over clean. Again, doesn't matter to us. We're traders. We just need to know. And a little SPAC mounts this week. So this particular chart is fairly new, but this is SPACs versus a spider. So the SPY, which we know just made an all-time high, versus a basket of SPACs. And right, you can see the SPACs have completely fell apart over the recent days, weeks, months. And to put in a little pop here. So is this a rally to be sold for SPACs, or is this going to be, you know, part of a bottoming formation and we're going to see a nice lift in SPACs? Again, I'm a trend trader, and that looks like a downtrend to me. So to summarize, market looks bullish. The value trade continues to be the thing. So when you're looking for the stocks, I've just heard so much of traders having a hard time complaining, saying things like, you know, the everything was going well, and now I can't make money in anything, and the market's up every day and my portfolio's down every day, and that kind of frustration, and saying what's going on. Well, we know what's going on, right? And what's going on is that we are getting kind of hammered when it comes to dealing with, you know, trying to figure out how to deal with the fact that everything is switching, right? Before, in 2020 and early 2021, you could buy any EV and you could buy almost any SPAC and you could buy all of these different things, and they just shot to the moon and you were a genius. Now it's much more of, and I hate this term, but a stock picker's market. You have to know what industries are doing well, and you have to gravitate towards those industries, and you need to forget about the old stuff that worked for you in the past, right? And that's the difference, what you'll find between traders who've been around for a while and do all the things, and traders who are new. But again, bullish, and no reason that I can see to be overly bearish. So I'm gonna go and now look at the videos I put out this week. Talk about how I traded them, if I'm trading them. I know the percentage of the people that watch those short videos are nothing compared to you guys. I don't think there's many people in here right now. But right, that being said, the follow-up on the reason for the trade, I think, is just very, very important. Because you'll learn way more than you will from anything else. So on Monday was BLMN. And I was looking at BLMN over this area right here to see if this was just kind of a pullback into a range, continuation. That obviously didn't fire off. There was no trade there at all. I just want to make sure I can see the chat as well. Oh, comment. Thanks for your insights for us newbies to help understand the market. No problem at all. That's what I like doing it. I spend all the time sitting and studying this stuff. So I like to share. I like to teach, right? I don't ever want to be an alert service or anything, but passing on knowledge, I think, is very important. So FGen, basically FGen was looking for the same thing. Just looking to see if we can get a breakout of here and into this gap. That didn't happen either. Still like this one. I don't really like BLMN anymore, but FGen I'm still interested in. If over the next few days we start breaking up and out of here, that will be interesting to me. EBIX. I didn't get in this one. I don't know why. I was looking for EBIX over this. this downtrend right here. Looks like that happened the day after I posted the video, and that would have been a really good trade, but I'm just looking here in my blotter and it's not there as traded for the week, so I must have just missed it. Maybe I was out doing something or something, but that's good. COUR I did buy on Friday. The theory here is that this $40 area was near the IPO here. It was support here, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. I wanted to buy it over that resistance, which I did on Friday, and you can see it came back in on me. So I'm not going to give this one much room. If we kind of get down in this area, I'll be out. Was really just looking for this one to kind of go on me. It didn't. If it closed red on the day, I was going to kill it. I had a stop for that day under the close, and it looks like it got really close to that, but did actually close green. So not down much. I'm down, like 20, 30 cents on it, but that's trading. Half of all of my trades I'm down on. So that's just how that's going to work. FGen was stock. Yeah, FGen I'm still watching for sure. COUR I like. FGen I'm still watching. Basically, the theory behind FGen is that when you have these gaps, you have these areas that no trading occurs, they can sometimes act as kind of like vacuums. There's nobody who's aggressively selling into those gaps. So sometimes when they get into the gap, they can just rocket right up to the top of the gap, and that's kind of where profits may occur. So again, watching this thing as just to see if we can get up there. So basically, if we break this high, come on, there, that high, I'm hoping that high gets taken out pretty soon after, in a day or two, and that this high here gets taken out pretty soon after, in a day or two, and those catalysts will go. Like if I'm short this stock right now, I'm putting a stop here, here, or here, right? So we're hoping this gets taken out, triggers some stops, then that gets taken out, triggers some stops, and that one gets taken out and triggers some stops. And then, with a 10% short float, that you get a little pop, just into this range, and that would be, 50% from 20 to 30? You can do that a few times a year, depending on your sizing and or everything, you're good to go, you're happy. The question, curious, do I trade stock or options? I generally trade stock. I find that with options, the problem is you have to be right on direction and time unless you're selling premium, which is something I want to get into. I'm waiting for Tastyworks to come to Canada because I do a lot of my trading in my retirement account, so I don't have to worry about paying the government and taxes and things like that. Some of my day trading and scalping for income I do in a separate account, but a lot of the big trades and a lot of the swing trades I take in these other accounts. So I need to find a place that will let me do naked option selling or spread selling or something like that to be able to do more of that. But that's something I'm interested in. And me and Chicago Sean, if you're looking for an options guy, my buddy Chicago Sean is great. I would go check him out. He's got a website and famous on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. We're going to do a series where I'm going to present him, my analysis, my algorithms, that type of thing, and then have him structure options trades around them, and kind of I will teach him how I look at things algorithmically, and he will teach me how he looks at things options. I think it's going to be a really cool series, but we need Tastyworks or some other broker that's willing to play ball to deal with us Canadians. Okay, so we did the market wrap up. We did what we went over last week. I'm just noticing the white balance on this camera is just atrocious. That's okay. Yeah, I think it'll be a really cool series. And again, me and Sean always do well together. We've right? Traveled all over the place together and hung out in the same hotel rooms, and so we're good buds anyway. So I think it'll be a cool watch. So what we're doing now is we are scanning for things that we think are going to be potential candidates for the short video that I'm going to do after I'm done with you guys. And then at the end, again, I always want to wait to the end because I figure anyone who hangs out at the end is going to be more hardcore. We will talk about Stats Edge trading and how that's going, and that if you go, I don't want to advertise too much because, as I said, it's going to go to an email list first, but there may or may not have been some changes to the website recently. So what are we looking for when we're doing the scanning, right? We notice that there's a potential bounce in growth stocks, right? So I won't be eliminating growth stocks entirely. We also determined that there's potential overperformance in XLE, so I would be interested in anything like that. We also notice that the market's in an uptrend. So if we can grab anything near a breakout point, our hope is that when the market rallies, it pulls things through there. And then lastly, we've determined that everything's in an extended uptrend. So we want to get something that we either think has breakout potential for the next day or two, or is actually outperforming the market in that trend. So that's what I'm going to be hunting for, just to see. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, because as you guys can actually see right down here, it's very, very nice out. So I want to go back out there. Work first, play second, right? And this is also a good time for questions, in which we're just kind of scanning at this point. We're seeing what we think has the potential to really get going if it moves. And then we're going to add those. You're just going to see me build these watch lists and go from there. Like this one is actually kind of interesting. This MXIN, just because it's battling this support area right here. Solar. So we saw that, XLE is outperforming solar, which that doesn't interest me as much, but the chart does look pretty nice. And with a 12% short float, that will be good as well. Maybe if anyone's interested, we will take a look at some of the meme stocks in a bit. Although I don't know if we saw the crazy meme week last week and that's over, or whether we're going to see a crazy meme week this week and it's going to just be insane. I personally am not trading them right now. I do have a bearish bet on some of them with options. That kind of trading is fun, but I don't think it's consistent. So what I want to start doing is making sure that I am doing things consistently, things that I can repeat regardless of whether or not Reddit's in control or Wall Street's in control, or whether it goes from Reddit to God knows what else websites next. MySpace 2.0 or something ends up being the thing that moves things. It's you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is very consistent with what's things that will exist regardless of market conditions. And this is whether or not this is a 6-month blast or splash in the pan that opens up everything insanely, or whether that was it. Next week AMC opens up down, GameStop opens up down, they sell all week, and that's the end of it. We don't know, but I want to make sure that I'm basically, whatever I do, I can just do over and over and over again consistently. Let me get my music back. What scans am I looking at? So these are, unfortunately, some of these I can share. This one I can share. The other two I can't because they have what's called custom formulas in them. So if you load them up, they won't look the same for you, but that one I can share. That will be part of the Stats Edge package, where I will not only have the scans, but I'll have all the customs and a video about how to plug in the customs and everything for you. But that one you can share. So basically, this one, the theory behind it is I'm looking for stocks that have sold off dramatically throughout the year, but they're showing a little bit of life now. This one is what some people call Ttm Squeeze, but it's essentially just looking for stocks that are getting very tight relative to their normal trading action. So the theory is that, if something gets tight, think of it like pushing in a spring. At some point, that spring has got to release, and your job is just to guess when and to guess direction. This one down here at the bottom is the one that I shared with you, is looking for stocks that are heavily shorted but are near their short-term moving average. And yeah, Angela, if you just click on that link, it will open up a website, and that website will actually have what you have to do in order to in order to load that into Trade Ideas. But basically, all you have to do is, if you copy that link, you right click and hit copy, and then you go up to your Trade Ideas and hit File, Load from Cloud. That link should have populated here. If it doesn't, just copy it in there and hit load, and it will load up that scan. And again, that only works if there's no custom formulas or anything weird in there, which in a lot of the cases of my scans there are, just because you can get super advanced and tweak that kind of stuff. So I wonder, is there anyone out there who's actually diamond handing this stuff? I always wonder when they say that. There's one thing for a couple people to talk online how they're going to hold AMC forever, but I wonder where the pain point is that people are just going to go, you know what, I'm out. Or is it just to the point where they're all trading so small, like they have a $1,000 Robinhood account. They just bought $1,000 worth of AMC, and they just said, listen, this thing's going to be worth 20 grand and it's going to pay off my debt, or I'm going to lose the grand and I'll be okay with that. Because we look at all this stuff through a trader's eye, but we got to remember that most of the people that are doing this meme stuff are not trading. They may not even be interested in trading. They may not even care about making money in the long term from a market. They're taking one shot here, and either that shot works or it doesn't. So, it's going to be it's a very interesting time. This is definitely the whole meme stock aspect is definitely changing a lot of the dynamics with how most things does. And you can see here in Trade Ideas, we even have something to track these, is how impactful they've been for people's short-term trading, just to make sure that that's something that's really, really getting interesting. And I am mostly through this list, and I haven't seen much of anything that I actually like. So this may be a hard week. Let's see, real estate. It's always, so real estate's doing great. So I'm going to watch this one. Just a high, tight flag. Now this won't move very much because this is $13 and that's $14. So they're going to be really chill, but it's just a nice pattern of base breakout, base breakout, base breakout, right? And the things with things like REITs and stuff like this, you're probably not going to get a REIT to get cut in half overnight. Unless there's some fraud or something like that. So you can size up a little bit. Maybe options make a little bit more sense since it's less volatile, things like that. But yeah, everything's looking choppy. Sometimes by just doing this act of scanning, it gives you a feel for the market. Like even though the indexes looked great and all the analysis we did for the last 30, 40 minutes looks great, the individual names are feeling a bit sloppy to me. Is that right? That can't be right. This 320% short float? I got to look at this somewhere else. I'm going to put that on just in case, because if that's right, why aren't they going after this? Does anyone have any other data for that? Shortsqueeze.com. HYMC. Okay, yeah, they're showing a 1.88% short float. That seems a little bit more reasonable, especially for a mining stock. Like, who's going to be... Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, there's no way. I'm actually going to bring that up right now. Hold on. I'm going to actually send that to the guys at Trade Ideas, get them to take a look at it. Institutional ownership, 96%. Okay, I see. That makes way more sense. Again, why would you short that heavily a mining? So it just must be a glitch. So I sent that over to the guys at Trade Ideas. They'll take a look at we're looking to update our data vendor there anyway, just to get a little bit more accurate information. We may actually start paying for multiple data vendors and doing some type of analysis with them. So this is interesting. So this scan that I'm looking at now is a scan of just heavily shorted names that haven't moved much. And this is a theory that I have going into next week that I can rant about for a second here. A big short. So everyone strap in. Everyone got your popcorn. This is every now and then, I sit out by the fire, have some creative help, and I just think about these things in the market. If we look at all of the heavily shorted stocks and the meme stocks as an index, and you guys know how I love to buy things that are relatively outperforming the market, and I love to sell things that are relatively underperforming the market. It's just kind of what I do, right? So let's look at all of these things like an index, right? So, and let's pretend AMC is the SPY, right? So AMC represents the SPY. The other memes represent all of the stocks in orbit of the SPY, right? And we know there's been a lot of studies done. This is the whole reason I came out with the TI strength alerts, which Angela, for you that's new, you may just want to focus on these for the next little bit. It's an algorithm that's tested stocks that are outperforming the market tend to continue to outperform the market for a long period of time. So it's a list of 5 stocks. It's done every week that is looking at stocks that outperform the market. So if we assume the market is AMC and the rest of these meme stocks are stocks related to AMC, because of course, right, GME is moving, right, as AMC is popping, so is GME, right? So is KOSS. So is EXPR and BlackBerry and all of these different names. Well, we know we want to buy the strongest ones and sell the weakest ones. Now, if we think that, hold on, Angela, if you've purchased trade ideas, you don't need to pick up TI strength alerts, just FYI. And I'll show you that in a second, but you don't need both. You just need, if you have even the standard version of trade ideas, you get the TI strength alerts right in your system. So that might save you a few bucks. Maybe use those on stats edge trading, who knows? But okay, so let's assume, right? I doubt next week is going to be a boring week for the memes, right? So let's ignore. There's always three outcomes to a stock: goes up, goes down, chop sideways, right? That's the only thing that can happen. So let's assume, for example, that chop sideways out of the question. It's going to be insanely rare, I think, that this much interest and attention doesn't move next week. So we'll just look at the two scenarios: AMC rockets or AMC falls apart back to $20, $25, $30, right? So if AMC is going to tank, what I am going to do personally, and this is the big short I was thinking of, is I'm going to build a list of things like iRobot, IR, right? Big short float in iRobot. It participated in the first squeeze, didn't participate in the second. I'm going to make a list. I'm going to put GME on that list. Participated, actually started this whole thing with the first squeeze, did okay with the second squeeze. Third squeeze, not so much, right? Decreasing every time. And, we'll put the same KOSS, EXPR. I am going to look to short these if AMC rolls over. If we open up and we start rocketing on AMC next week, I'm going to look at BlackBerry because, right, it had this first crazy squeeze. It came back, didn't really participate in the second squeeze, but on a percentage basis, it's almost matching AMC. So there is some strength in BlackBerry because of this whole meme stock thing. Again, I hope this rant is working for someone, because I got one more aspect. I have a theory on this one, and that is that these people who are doing this are new to the markets, right? And again, I'm rooting for them. I hope they're right, and that hedge funds have been naked shorting these things and breaking all the rules, and the government's been letting them break the rules, and the whole thing's corrupt, and that they blow the door off this, that a whole bunch of guys from nowhere make hundreds of thousands of dollars and blow up the people who are breaking the rules. That's what I hope happens. I can't trade off hope, or I'd be out of the game a long time ago. So I need to look at them and I need to say, okay, well, who are these people? And most of them are people who are going to be new. They've heard AMC to the moon. They followed the hashtag AMC 500K or whatever. They opened up a Robinhood account. They got $1,000 or $2,000. They dumped it into AMC or AMC calls, and that's it. Now, why AMC this time and not GME? I think it has 100% to do with the price of the stock, right? You could get into an AMC for, right, when it was under 20, right, under 20 a share, whereas GME was 200 a share. Now, for people who have been trading a while and understand the market, we know that doesn't, the price of the stock is irrelevant, right? I'll just buy 2 shares of GME instead of 200 shares of AMC, or no, sorry, 20 shares of GME instead of 200 shares of AMC, right? That's the only real difference, because all we care about is percentage gain. That's the only thing that pays us. But they don't. So what I think is going to happen is, if this meme stock, if they keep hopping, like they hop from GME to AMC, if AMC gets to that $70, $100 area, and then all of a sudden there's another meme stock that's under $100, I think people are going to gravitate towards that. So they're going to jump from cheap stock to cheap stock to cheap stock to cheap stock, just because it feels better to buy more shares. And this is something that I still have to remind myself all the time. Say, oh, I can buy 10,000 shares of this $2 stock, or I can buy 1,000 shares of this $20 stock. Again, it shouldn't, mathematically, it shouldn't matter, but most of these people aren't thinking about, and I'm not insulting their intelligence or anything. They're just not thinking about it that deeply. So if they're looking at it and they're saying AMC to the moon, I'm seeing that be tweeted. GME to the moon, I'm seeing that be tweeted. Well, I can buy way more AMC than I can buy GME. And that's why I think BlackBerry has a chance at being the next one, because if AMC's at $70 and GME's at $250, well, BlackBerry's at 20, right? So you can buy way more with that, and that cycle of price may be the repeating factor that all of us can make money off. If we just simply say they're going to go after the ones that are heavily shorted, and that they're all going to pile in together and push, but they're also going to do it on cheaper price stocks, well, then we know we need to just watch the forms, and instead of looking at everything they're trading, we need to go to the cheapest price names and focus on those. So again, I think that was like a 15-minute rant, but that's just what I'm thinking overall as I'm kind of watching all of this unfold and trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who's very new, or somebody who just doesn't have the time or energy to bother focusing on this stuff. They just say, okay, I see all of these meme stocks that everyone's talking about. AMC is cheap. I'm going to go with that. So that's my theory, and that's my meme stock plan for next week. If they're successful, which I hope they are, I'm going to try to find some cheaper names in the high short float space that make sense. If they fail, I'm going to go after the more expensive ones like GME, and I'm going to pop that one short, thinking that that's going to drop on a percentage basis bigger than everyone else. So again, there is no, and this is very anti-me. Usually I'm the guy who says, I want to see the data on a trading style, a philosophy, a thesis, and then push from there. But this is such a new phenomenon that the only data source I have is them pumping GameStop from 20 to 200 and then kind of leaving it alone, and then pumping AMC from 20 to 70 and then leaving it alone. And away we go. So that's just what I'm thinking. So I'm going to show you guys the only thing that I could find that I am interested in is this MAXIN. So this is going to be what I'm going to tweet about. So that's good. So I'll show you. So first, Angela, let me show you. So yeah, if you click on this strength alerts, and this is my baby, I guess. So I'm going to be updating this when we are done this call. So you not only get the tickers right here. So these were the tickers for last week. But you also get the email that I write right here, right? So this will be updated. So this is the same email that comes to your inbox on Sunday. It's just right here. So if you're paying for strength alerts and trade ideas, I wouldn't. I would just Sunday night or Monday morning, you can just click on that channel and you'll get the symbol list here, and you'll get the newsletter, and that will all be taken care of for you. So that's one thing. Then another question is, how often is the Wall Street's updated? It's updated, well, the data on the stocks is updated in real time. The which names are the most talked about, I think, is updated monthly, I think. But a lot of these scans are just looking for insanely high short float ones. But we've got the majors, right? We've got GME, we've got AMC, all of those things. So just one note, right, is that the market is, from a volume point of view, the market is dying right now, right? Not from a price point of view, but from a volume point of view, the market's really drying up. And that's very common with the summer, right? everyone takes off for the summer. There's less traders, there's less hedge fund managers, there's just less market movement. So that's one of the reasons I think that these meme stocks are doing so much, is because everybody is bored because nothing else is moving. So they're going to hop onto these as well. So yeah, I see, that's a good way to do it. Just keep it simple like that. I'm just doing these thought experiments because if this is something that's going to stay, which it may, where these retail crowds are just able to bully around the hedge fund guys, then I want to be able to make sure that I'm already thinking about it and I'm coming up with plans, and I'm sharing these thoughts with you guys, and then in written form and everything on Stats Edge, we'll be doing that as well. So I've got my trade. I know. Oh, that's not that one. I want this one. I know what I'm going to do the next week. We've gone through all the charts. I think that makes sense. The last thing I will say is that we're doing a soft launch on statsedgetrading.com, which is in the description. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I haven't sent out the email to everybody yet. I'll be doing that later today or probably tomorrow. And again, go check it out. What you get is a live room. It's not an alert or trading or anything like that, but a place to communicate with each other and myself throughout the trading day, at least the morning. My thoughts on the market every morning, and a couple names that I'm watching every morning, and access to all of my scans and things like that as well. You can go check that out at the website. I'm just talking about it very briefly at the end of the video, just because I know when this goes public, there's going to be like 3 people that make it all the way to the end. So I want to do, again, a soft launch. I want to make sure everyone's happy. I want to make sure everything goes okay. And then maybe down the road, something we'll talk about a little bit more. But not what Barry does exactly, because I won't be on the mic, calling things out or anything like that. It will, the room is simply a place that if I see something midday, I can just type in, "Hey guys, look at this. I saw this." We're going to do that on YouTube. Maybe I'll just turn on the mic then and say, "Hey guys, this is something I'm looking at. Check it out." Mic off. It's mainly my research, and it's not even my research, because I'm not going to be telling anybody how to trade or what to trade or whatever. I just don't ever want to get into that game. But what I do want to do is, for newer traders or traders that are still learning, is basically allow them to look over my shoulder and just say, okay, this is how he thinks about the market every day. Here's the scans he uses. Here's how he kind of looks at the market intraday. My hope is that someone will pick something like that up for a couple months and develop their own style and then go on their own way, type of thing, right? Is my goal. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, because there's still work to be done, and any ideas, feel free to share them with me and things like that. So again, it was good having you guys. That video will be up soon. I'm going to make the video right after I hang up here, so that video will be up soon, so feel free to check that out when that comes live. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. I will be back next week. I am actually doing, let me actually see if I can get, I have a CMT thing coming next week. I'll see if I can get a link to that. Maybe I'll tweet it out. So if you're not following me on Twitter, it's @Bonpar on Twitter. I need to update my Twitter and YouTube, so it all says Stats Edge. But I'm doing a CMT event later in the week, so you guys might want to check that out. It's all going to be about relative strength. I think it's going to be super cool. But thank you, everyone, for coming out, and get outside and enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you soon.